First, we're talking New England Patriots. So Tom Brady admitted yesterday that he's frustrated with the offense. He wishes the Patriots could score more points. Nick, just to give you some context, Pats have scored 3 touchdowns in their last 2 games. They are 25th right now in the red zone. These are not numbers that we ever use to describe the New England Patriots. Not this year. Probably not last year, although we saw we're getting close to it. You think that their offense holds them back from winning a Super Bowl this year? Because you can't pin anything on that defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and at this point, I don't think they're going to get to the Super Bowl, and it wouldn't be on the defense. Certainly ain't going to put it on Bill Belichick. So what's the other options? We going to blame their third kicker? Now, by the way, not having Gostkowski has been to their detriment this season. But yes, I believe I don't think the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to get to the Super Bowl. And at the end of the year, I think we're going to say, why didn't they? And it's going to be because the offense is not good enough. And Patriot fans, you don't have to listen to me. Take Tom Brady's word for it. Tom Brady, at every opportunity, is expressing his concern and his frustration with the offense's lack of ability to sustain drives and to put up anywhere close to the level of production he's been used to.
And himself not excluded, because he talks about it as a whole.
I'm sure he understands he is the most important part of the offense, but he also, Brady is a great teammate. One of the best forget player, one of the best teammates we've ever seen in any sport. He also knows he is not playing with a full deck, so to speak. The offensive line injuries, the lack of consistent wide receiver play aside from Edelman, and a disappointing Sony Michel season, a guy they spent a first-round pick on last year, by the way, a pick or 2 ahead of where Lamar Jackson was taken. But let's not talk about that right now. It's not all on Brady, but Brady has not been able to, in year 20, or year 19, pardon me, as a starter, year 20 in the NFL, and at age 42, he has not been able to be the tide that lifts all boats. So to me, Greg, the answer is yes. Yes, the Patriots offense as a whole, Tom Brady is the leader of that offense, is going to prevent the Patriots from doing something only the Buffalo Bills have ever done, which is make it to 4 straight Super Bowls, much less win 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think the Patriots offense this year is going to be enough. And why I say it's not going to be enough is for every reason you pointed out. When you look at their personnel, and I get it, in years past, even last year, we've always talked and noticed that they have a lack of personnel when it comes to skill position guys. They've always been that way. That's been their approach. They get what they get, and it works because Tom Brady makes it work, because Josh McDaniel makes it work, because Bill Belichick and that defense makes it work. However, this year, what has worked in the past is not working. You mentioned Sony Michel. They haven't been able to sustain the run. They haven't even been able to start the run. They haven't been able to get those easy passes that Tom Brady has always been accustomed to with James White and Julian Edelman and so many other guys, Burkhead, and these guys that fill in and step up and make plays when guys have been missing in and out of play or whatever the case may have been. And so when I look at that, however good their defense is playing, it is not going to be enough when you look at the offenses that they will end up facing in the playoffs that will put up points. So your offense is going to have to put the ball in the end zone. You can't continue to get away with just field goals and trying to win points by games by margin.
Win the way they did against Philly.
Like, you can't, that's not going to happen.
The way they beat Philly, the way they beat Buffalo, they've played 3 teams this year that right now are either in the playoffs if they started today or a game out. Philly, Buffalo, and Baltimore. Baltimore beat them twice. Beat them to go up 17-0, getting the ball on the punt return, fumbled it. Then they had to go beat them all over again, and they did. Buffalo, they beat 16-10 before Josh Allen started taking care of the football in a game where the Buffalo quarterbacks had 4 turnovers, and they needed a block punt to win that game. And the Philly game, the Patriots needed a wide receiver pass touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and even then, they still are facing a pass, Wentz's best pass of the night, into the end zone on 4th and 10 to potentially potentially tie the game, or I think Philly might have gone for 2 in that spot. And so that, to me, is not a path to victory that is sustainable over multiple playoff games against multiple quality opponents.
Here's why I'm not worried about the New England Patriots, because the one thing they do better than anyone else, including your Chiefs, which we just talked about, is play situational football. Nobody almost understands the game better. No one has the game won. We talked about this, better than Bill Belichick before the game is even played. As far as out scheming your opponent, preparing for your opponent, that along with your defense, isn't that enough to get them through at least
the regular season
at 9-1?
Yes,
for them to be playing
season
as poorly as they are in the offense, you think that won't carry them through the postseason?
No, I don't. I really don't, because you got to think about just the history of the New England Patriots and what goes before them, what precedes them. Their reputation has always preceded them. And teams are just not afraid to play the New England Patriots. They're just not. And there's always been this little angst with teams going into Foxborough in January because of who? Tom Brady and what he provides in the playoffs. Now, I get it. He's a different player typically in the playoffs, and you don't have to be so great, but you just can't make mistakes. And he typically does not do that. But when I look at these teams and what they've always been afraid of or leery of is Tom Brady beating them. And I just don't see that being the case. Number one, because his ability has started to decline. And then you already don't have the personnel that's going to elevate and supplement what he's now lacking, which they did last year, Sony Michel.
And by the way, you saw the passing game start to deteriorate last season. But they had James Devlin at fullback. They had Gronk at tight end as not just a pass catcher, but as a blocker. Sony Michel was playing better, and they had a far more healthy offensive line. The offensive line has been decimated by injuries. I know they get Isaiah Wynn back, but he will effectively be a rookie left tackle playing his first NFL games. He might be an excellent player. He was an excellent prospect, but we got to see him actually play. There's plenty of guys who were first-round picks. Eric Flowers once upon a time was a first-round pick left tackle who ended up repeatedly showing he couldn't do it. I'm not assigning that to Isaiah Wynn, but he's as likely to be that as he is Joe Thomas. We don't know where on the spectrum he's going to fall. The lack of a fullback has hurt him, and I said it in the beginning, the kicker injury is a big one because the type of games they're trying to win, you need to have a reliable kicker for the first time in a quarter century. They went a quarter century uninterrupted of what I would consider Hall of Fame level kickers. From 1994 to 2019, Vinatieri to Gostkowski, with I think 12 games where Gostkowski was injured a decade ago where they had replacement level kicking. But the other element is Brady. And I will tell the audience this, you don't have to go deep into the history books to find a very close facsimile for what we are seeing. Peyton Manning in 2013 won league MVP, and his team lost in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't on him. He was stupendous that year. In 2014, he was really, really good early in the season, fell off a bit at the end of the year, and in 2015, he added league best defense, and he was no longer the player he once was. They, by the way, won the Super Bowl anyway. Tom Brady in 2017 won league MVP, and his team lost in the Super Bowl. In 2018, he was good, not as good as he was in 2017, and they were a defense-dominated team that, by the way, ended up winning the damn Super Bowl in a 13-3 game against the Rams. In 2019, he is having the worst year since his first season in football. Now,
and the Patriots defense,
much like the Broncos defense, is carrying them throughout. Now, to be fair to Brady, Peyton Manning in 2015 was a bad quarterback.
Yes.
He was terrible.
He completely fell off.
He was 9 touchdowns, 17 picks, and a disaster. Nobody would say Tom Brady's been a disaster this year. But I don't think anybody accurately would say Tom Brady has been a markedly above average quarterback this season. And where Brady's been the worst, and this is a situation where compared to his contemporaries in recent times and throughout the breadth of his prime, he was the best, is dealing with pressure. His MVP year, I think he had a 97 rating when pressured, which is elite. To have a quarterback rating above 90 when you're pressured is going to be near tops in football. This year, it's a 48 passer rating when pressured. The drop between pressured and not pressured passer rating, he and Dak Prescott, the two biggest discrepancies in football. And for Brady, it's a concern because when you do get to the postseason, Are we convinced they are going to be able to keep Tom Brady upright? Are they going to be able to prevent Tom Brady from getting hit? And is Tom Brady going to do something in the postseason he has not yet done in the regular season, which is stare down the face of pressure and say, I know I'm going to get mollywopped here, but I'm going to deliver that strike. In the regular season, maybe, Greg, he's been just trying to keep himself healthy, and he will flip that switch in the postseason, but we're yet to see it even in big spots during the regular season.
I'm going to tell you, a switch that cannot be flipped is when you start feeling those hits as you get older. When and to that point, I've watched Tom Brady this year make a couple of throws where he knew that contact was going to happen, and he threw and spent.
Yes.
And when you start seeing that in a quarterback, and again, this is Tom Brady. I understand he's the GOAT, but present day, Tom Brady is not the GOAT as right now playing at quarterback position. He is just an average quarterback that has elite savvy and smarts that is going to propel him to where he is and this team is. And so he's getting by with that.
I'm just going to say, I'm not jumping off the wagon until the band breaks up. It sounds like you both, well, he's been off for a little while.
Well, I'm just curious, in the playoffs, if they play Baltimore, who's got the better quarterback? If they play Kansas City, who's got the better quarterback? If they play Houston, who's got the better quarterback? If they play Indy, listen, I'll give it to Brady. If they play Buffalo, I'll give it to Brady. But the teams they're going to have to beat to get to the Super Bowl, forget who they face in the Super Bowl. Who has the better quarterback?
Who has the better defense of all the teams that you just mentioned?
Well, the Patriots, which is the only reason they're in the conversation.
Exactly.
All right, coming up, is Zeke no longer the most important player on the Cowboys offense? That is next on First Things First.